Happy Wednesday, marriage hackers.
Happy Wednesday.
I have a question for you. What if your marriage could bring out the strongest version of the man you love? Well, we're going to answer that question and talk about the 7 qualities to make that happen.
Hello, marriage hackers.
Hi, guys.
Miriam and I are excited to announce what, Miriam?
That we will be starting
Gearing up
for a 10-week session for individual, couples, or group sessions.
And we will be under the mentorship of Julie and Greg Gorman, the founders of Married for a Purpose. And they have already established a system, a proven system that has over a 90% success rate. So don't you want your marriage to have more intentionality? Don't you want it to grow beyond your own expectation and imagination?
Joe and I are doing the program right now, and let me tell you, it has spawned some serious conversations that we may not have even had before.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to grow in your communication, in your intimacy, or even your passion.
Yes, just all we ask is that you type in the comments, count me in. And this will let Miriam and I know who to reach out to once we begin offering our 10-week session.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's get into our next episode of Marriage Hacks
with Joseph and Miriam.
All right, as we always do, we're going to start out with our scriptures. And the first scripture is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 33. And it says, however, each one of you also must love his wife as he loves himself. And the wife must respect her husband. Now, this verse highlights a powerful dynamic. Love and respect, working together. Respect, in particular, speaks directly to affirming a man's identity, responsibility, strength and strength within the marriage.
1 Corinthians 16:13. Be on your guard, stand firm in faith, be courageous, be strong. Okay, while it's not exclusive to marriage, this instruction defines biblical masculinity, courage, strength, and stability. A healthy relationship helps to cultivate and reinforce these traits rather than diminish them.
All right, so the next scripture is Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. And it says, the Lord said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. This establishes the foundation of marriage as a supportive partnership, not competition. Let me say that again. Supportive partnership and not competition. A wife's support strengthens a man's purpose, helping him grow into who he's called to be. All right. In today's world, masculinity is often misunderstood, but in a healthy marriage, it isn't suppressed. It's strengthened. The right relationship qualities can bring out confidence, leadership, and purpose in a man. In this video, we're breaking down 7 powerful qualities every marriage needs to naturally strengthen masculinity and build a deeper, more secure connection. Now, before we get into today's message, like I always do, I'm going to play some clips, okay? I think I have 5 in all. All right, and this is the first one.
When men out of their love, choose to try to please you, and then you no longer respect them, it's because you mistook being nice for being powerless, and you're wrong. And there's a day in which a man hits a threshold where he will no longer please. And you will discover in those moments that everything he was offering was a gift, that you took their blessing and you converted it into because of a game you play in your head. And that's the way to guarantee you'll never have lasting love. And men, when you give up your masculinity to try to please a woman, she ends up hating you. It is never the path you want to take, nor is the path of dominating her, which is cheap. It's a child that tries to do that. A man feels what's right and does what's right, whether it pleases or not. That's what makes you truly a man. And that kind of man will sacrifice anything for those he loves. And it's not acting out sacrifice, it's not positioning, it's because he knows what he's made for.
All right, this is the next one.
There's a reason why masculine men are not attracted to masculine women, and it's not because they're strong. Before everybody lose their minds, let me define the terms. Masculinity isn't being an asshole. It isn't abrasive. And it isn't, hear me roar, I don't need no man. That's not strength, that's hostility. A masculine man is built around three primary instincts: to lead, to provide, and to protect. That is the wiring. So when a woman says, I don't need no man, he's going to believe you. Because if he can't lead, provide, or protect in a relationship, then the very things that make him masculine have no place in that relationship. And he'll go find one where they do. Relationships work the same way great businesses work. Partners don't bring the same strengths. They bring complementary strengths, different roles, different energies. Masculine men are the same way. They're not looking for masculine energy in a relationship. They already bring that to the table. What they're drawn to is feminine energy, peace, warmth, nurturing, respect. A woman who multiplies what he brings to the table. That's polarity. That's the yin and yang. And that's where chemistry lives. Now let's kill a myth real quick. Strong men are not intimidated by strong women. That's total nonsense. A woman who's intelligent, capable, leveling up, kicking ass at life, that's attractive. But those aren't the traits that create romantic polarity. That type of attraction only comes from the feminine qualities beneath it. And look, I get it. Many women have had to step into their masculine energy. Maybe their dad wasn't around. Maybe they went through a divorce. Maybe life has forced them to become the provider. That happens. But if a woman wants a masculine man in her life, she has to understand how to step back into her feminine energy in the relationship. Because a masculine man and a masculine woman together, they repel. Now, a masculine woman can attract parasites. She can attract weak men who want to live off her strength all day long. But a masculine man, he's looking for polarity, not competition. There's a reason why cars come with one steering wheel and one driver's seat. Someone has to lead. And if the man isn't leading in the relationship, he isn't a masculine man. So if you say you want a masculine man, then you have to understand what that means and understand what that man is actually attracted to. And fellas, if you feel like you've lost your masculinity, if you're not leading effectively or providing or protecting, come join me and my other brothers at Doughboy Nation, where we level up together. We reclaim our masculinity. Type tribe in the comment section. I'll DM you back.
Okay, here's the next one.
Every woman in this room should know masculine is not the power of the universe. Feminine is, I'm not placating you. That's why every man would die for the right woman. Would die, would give his life. That's what a real masculine man is, by the way. Not the one that's going to tell you what to do. The one that loves you so much they can feel inside you and they know what's right. And they may share it with you for a different place, not for them, for you. And you can feel the difference when someone's trying to tell you what to do for their benefit or when they know what's right.
Okay, this is the last one.
He's exhausted not because of his work. He's exhausted because he doesn't have your feminine energy on his side. You could change this man's life right now. You could take 10 years off of this man's life. If he could feel the sustained love and energy and admiration from you, and not all the judgment, and not all the controls. He's tired of fighting. That's the only reason he'd ever leave you, not because he doesn't love you. He just can't live without an ounce of freedom left. Freedom to feel, the freedom to think, freedom to make his own decisions. And it doesn't mean he doesn't willingly include you. He's done it the whole way. He's played level 2 the whole way, and you run him over with a truck. He let you. You couldn't run him over when he let you, but you picked someone who would let you, and now you're pissed about it. Other than that, I'm not quite sure what's happening in your relationship.
I feel like I've worked really, really hard to change the feminine side, to really get to the feminine side.
No, you did try to change the feminine side. I think that's the accurate description. Your initial gut was the right way of describing it. And the feminine side doesn't need to be changed. You've tried to change the feminine so it'll fit in your model of the world of control. And the feminine is not about control. Real feminine, that's how you know. If you're trying to control ladies, that tension, you're in the masculine. And you can't stay happy if you're a feminine soul in control.
All right, so now we're going to get into our outline.
Okay, so as we said earlier, we're going to discuss 7 powerful qualities that every relationship or every marriage needs to naturally strengthen masculinity in a man while building deeper, more secure connections. These 7 qualities are: number 1, respect; number 2, trust; number 3, encouragement; 4, clear communication; number 5, appreciation; number 6, emotional safety; and 7, a shared purpose.
All right, so we're going to get into number 1, respect. You know, that word is so important, there's even a song about it. But anyway, respect reinforces a man's sense of value and identity. When it's present, confidence and leadership tend to rise naturally when those things are present. Okay? And then
No, you got to discuss that. Don't just go jumping 1, 2, 3.
I'm sorry.
Discuss that first one.
Well, as a man, of course, I am a man. Yes, I can definitely vouch for this statement. Respect does reinforce a man's value and his identity, because with everything going on in this world, the masculine role has been under attack for a very long time. Men are attacked and what's the word?
Emasculated.
Yeah, demasculated.
Emasculated.
Wait, emasculated.
Emasculated.
Emasculated. Okay, I'm sorry. Emasculated. And it's like the feminine role has been greatly elevated above that of a man. So in the household where men are struggling for their identity, struggling with their value, especially if their spouse is not supportive of him, and like we said before, competing instead of being supportive, that can be something very difficult to deal with from day to day. But it says when it's present, confidence and leadership tend to rise naturally. Okay, some people, I just put it this way: some wives that don't understand this, they complain about, oh, my husband's not confident. He's not taking on his leadership role. And what they don't understand is that they play a significant part in that. You want to add anything to it?
No.
Okay.
This is the male point of view I'm letting you have.
Okay.
Express your points of view.
Okay. So you want to take the second one?
No,
You want me to take
these are all yours.
You want these
baby.
all mine?
They're all
Okay.
yours, baby.
So she putting it all. Okay. But you got the input though. You got to
Yes,
ask
dear.
input. Okay.
When it's
Trust.
time, I will.
Trust. Trust removes the need of defensiveness and control, allowing a man to lead, provide, and operate with clarity. Okay? Yes, it's very important that I know that Miriam trusts me. Okay? Because if she doesn't trust me, if I feel that she doesn't trust me, okay, it gives place for indecisiveness when it comes to taking action on what I'm trying to do. Okay? But if I know that she trusts me, then I can move forward with a whole lot more confidence than if she's not trusting me. And like it said, it allows a man to move with clarity. Please, women, support your husband, trust him, and
But
allow
that
him.
trust has to be earned.
Yes, I understand. I
Okay.
understand. Yeah, I understand that it has to be earned. I was gonna say, especially if he has earned that trust, help him to move forward with clarity. Okay, and because if he doesn't have that clarity, if he doesn't, and if he's feeling indecisive, he's not going to be effective. Okay.
I remember back when I left the workforce back in 1991 when Joshua was born, and I was born in the 60s. I'm a child of the 70s. You remember that commercial, I can bring home the bacon fried up in a pan. It was all about a woman taking her place, and I was very much that because I had two sisters who I saw, even though they had married, I saw them having to raise their children basically on their own. I saw them having to do everything on their own. I saw them, the blood, the sweat, and the tears when the men, sometimes they were there, sometimes they weren't. Mainly they weren't. I'm just going to be honest with you. And when I stopped working as an auditor for Transamerica, our income was literally cut more than in half. And being a stay-at-home mom was something that I always wanted to do. So giving that up was not an issue for me. But what was an issue for me was giving up that perceived control. And one of the things that the Holy Spirit had me do early in our marriage when I came, from working at Transamerica to taking care of our oldest Joshua, he said, I want you to be submissive and I want you to discuss every decision with Joe before you make it. And I was like, well, okay. And I didn't realize how hard that would be because I was used to, if there's something that we need because I worked, I went out and got it. Or if there's something that needed to be done, I just did it. And that is because I saw my mom do that. I saw my mother, if the house needed painting, she picked up a paintbrush and she got paint and she did it. If something needed to be done around the house, mama did it. But that first 3 years of our son's life was interesting because God was teaching me to be, I don't even want to say submissive, as much as to let go of many of the preconceived notions of being a feminist and growing up in the 70s and watching the feminist revolution. I did not realize how much of that I had taken in, but I did. And he used the first 3 years of our son's life to break me of that.
Okay, so the next one is encouragement. Consistent encouragement fuels purpose. And I'm going to re-emphasize the consistent encouragement. Because if you encourage your man, even though I'm not finished reading the whole thing, but if you encourage your man every now and then, it's not going to be effective. It needs to be consistent. Your man needs to know, your husband needs to know that that encouragement is going to be there every step of the way, okay? It reminds a man he's seen, supported, and capable of growth. See, every man needs to know that he is seen. Because if you feel like you're invisible in your own house, that will make you feel like that you're not stable, in a stable place. That makes a man feels like his world could crumble at any time. Okay? Especially if he feels like, oh, I'm invisible, but someone else is in full view, or others are in full view. Okay? You want to add anything
No.
to that? Okay, so the next one is clear communication. Direct, honest communication eliminates assumptions and overthinking, creating stability instead of tension. Okay? Now Miriam has said over and over again how she's hesitant about sharing everything with me because she is worried about how I'm gonna respond. Mm-hmm. And so in response to that, I have been doing my best to receive things better. Yes, I still have work to do, but
the overthinking.
But I'd rather her be honest, no matter how painful it is to be honest, than to be walking around assuming something that is not true. Okay, or opening myself up to overthinking. When she says, "Oh, I'm okay," but I know she's not, then that's gonna open the door for overthinking, and that's not a good place to be. Okay, and like it said, it creates tension in a relationship. You want to add anything else to it?
Yes, it does create tension in a relationship, and yes, Joe has gotten a lot better. But there's still work to be done, and I still will only tell him but so much. That's just honest, being honest. Number 5.
Okay, number 5, appreciation. Okay, acknowledging effort, not just results, builds motivation and reinforces positive behavior within a relationship. Okay,
that goes both ways.
Yeah, but that's a big one. Okay, for a man, because it always that statement that says victory is failure turned inside out. So the failure that a man faces from day to day is in the midst of him applying a lot of effort to win. Okay, and he needs that encouragement and that acknowledgement of that effort to have the strength to keep moving forward. Okay, just like a good corner man in a boxing match, and the opponent is getting the best of their fighter, but that fighter is putting in the best effort that he can put in. But guess what? The corner is not telling them, "Oh, just give up, just forget it. You're not gonna win this fight. We might as well go ahead and throw in the towel on it right now." Okay, so that's how your husband is feeling if his effort is not acknowledged, If the coroner's not saying, "Hey, you're doing great," we like the way you're doing this, but hey, try this. The next time, do this. Yeah, you're doing
But
great.
you have to be willing to hear well, next time try this.
Yes.
Next time try
Yes.
that. Because there have been times, Joe, when I'll say something to you, you go, well, this is what I'm going to do. And I go, okay. So by saying that, you've got to be willing to say those things. The man also has to be willing to listen to what his wife is saying, and that she's not coming from, well, I can't say she's not, because I don't know everybody's attitude and everybody's experience. I just know for me, it's not coming from a place of judgment, of belittling. It's coming from a place of, okay, we've done this, and this is what happened before. What have we done, or what are you doing to avoid this outcome, the same outcome that we had last time? And in the past, like I said, I can only speak for Joe and me. Joe would get upset because I asked questions. And that also goes back to the open and honest communication. Can you really give that feedback without being snapped at? Can you really give that feedback without the attitude? So that's my question. That's my thing. So when you make these statements, Joe, you have got to take into account, yes, it's a blanket statement, but you also have to look at yourself. And you have to ask yourself, men, okay, have I created a space that she can come to me and make a comment? Now, don't get me wrong. If you got a woman that's always, if you got a woman that's always like that, there is no respect, there is no space. When our kids were growing up, the girls Joe would come to me with something, and the girls would watch me, and I go, and then I'd give Joe the reasons why we shouldn't. And then he would say, well, I'm going to do it. And I go, okay. One prime example was back, Joe was determined that he was going to buy our oldest son a car. And I remember sitting there doing Hannah's hair, and he was giving me all these reasons and this ad that he had found. And I said, well, Joe, we've got to look at this, and this. But Joe was blinded by the fact that he wanted to buy his firstborn a car. So after I finished doing Hannah's hair, I got up, went to where I keep my paperwork, because, back then we were self-employed, where I kept our paperwork, profit and loss, tax statements, all that, got them and said, okay, let's go. And Hannah looked at me and said, but Mama, and I went, because that was something that he was not going to be happy until we did it. So there are times like that. I gave my reasons, but he wasn't listening. So, and there are other times when I've also told my daughters, and my Hannah, again, the one that's married, she said to me recently, Mama, now I see why you did some of the things that you did with Daddy, because she said, I didn't understand why you were always going, well, that's great, baby, and that's this, and that's that, that's this, and this, that. She said, I couldn't understand it, but now after being married for going on 4 years, I get it. That's what you have to do. And I said, yeah, baby, you have to build up their egos. You've got to pat them on the back. And you got to pat them on the head, not like a dog, but you got to pat them on the head and stuff, even when you don't agree with what they're doing. Because what it comes down to, as far as the, I think one of the videos said, as far as it comes down to his responsibility of the house, God is going to judge him on the responsibility that he takes in the house. And the final decision really is his. And there are times as women that we we can see them headed for a brick wall. We try to express it to them, but if they decide to go ahead and do it, we got to let them crash. And when they crash, you can't say, I told you. That's not the approach to take, because that tears them down. You have to be there to be the sounding board. And if you do say something, wait to say something when the emotions are not as high.
So I just want everyone to understand that everything that we discuss, it has to pass through the filter of love.
Yes.
It's like
even during our heated videos.
Yeah, everything has to pass through the filter of love, and when we are giving feedback, or when we are stating our concerns, we need to make sure it's done in a spirit of love,
truth and love.
Yeah, truth and love, and not judgment, or criticism. Okay, because just like Miriam tells me all the time, and I've heard this too, that sometimes, like especially when you're trying to discipline your child and you're trying to get them to do something, the more you push them, sometimes that pushes them in the other direction.
Yeah, they'll fight back.
And so you have to make sure that you're taking the right approach, and also understand, like Miriam said, some things just have to run their course. Some things a person has to go through, and you have to be supportive even when you can see what the outcome's going to be. Okay? And that's part of love suffering long. Okay? There's some things that love just has to suffer through. Okay? In every relationship, but especially in a marriage, there's some things that you just got to suffer through. And
pray you come out on the other end of it.
Yeah.
Better.
Because sometimes that suffering is part of the refiner's fire. And it's refining that person. It's burning away the dross, the things that's the impurities. Okay. Sometimes it's like, oh Lord, I don't know why Miriam, I have to tell the Lord, I don't know why Joe didn't listen to me, and why he's going to do this anyway. And the Lord is probably sitting back in heaven, because this is a furnace of affliction that he has to go through to burn off the dross. Once he goes through it, then he'll never make that same mistake again, because he had to go through, like that old statement, sometimes people have to hit rock bottom. Sometimes they have to hit rock bottom, and like this song, I think I've quoted it before, this song that says rock bottom is a firm foundation. Because once you hit rock bottom, sometimes that's where the only position that you can rise is once you hit rock bottom. Because all the other times that you fell but it wasn't rock bottom, you feel like, oh, I still have the strength to do it. I still have the ability to do it yourself. But once you hit rock bottom and you have no other place to look but up, that's when
you allow God. God allowed it so that you'll have to look up at Him.
Yeah, that's why the word, the humble will be exalted. Because sometimes you have to go through the purification process to get to a position of humility to where God can raise you up. Okay?
We've, we're doing this certification with Married for a Purpose. And as future coaches, Joe and I had to go through the reboot process, the process through which we'll be taking people once we're finally certified in a couple of months. And I remember the last day and it was very emotional when Joe just kind of broke down, and he was just talking about all the things he had done and all the things that he had failed at were basically just trying to make life better for us. I remember that very clearly, and a lot of the things that he did, caused a lot of turmoil between the two of us. And a lot of that turmoil, that it was never resolved. It had not been resolved until that day when we did that reboot. Matter of fact, we're looking at right at 2 months ago that we did the reboot. It was that day that he expressed himself in that way to me, and I heard his heart in a way that I never had before. There are so many things, ladies, that our husbands will do if they're good men, because there are some men that are just going to do what they want to do and they don't care about what you think. They're just going to do what they want to do. But a good man is going to try over and over and over and over and over and hope that the next thing is what makes it good for you, for his wife and his family. What we have to do, ladies, is we just have to know when to speak and when to be quiet and when to support them or when to say no. But still know that when we say no, that it's still up to them and that they're going to have to reap the consequences of it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So,
All right.
So the next one is emotional safety, which we already kind of touched on it. A space where a man can be open without judgment strengthens him. Okay, not weakens his ability to show up fully.
Okay, reread that.
Okay, a space where a man can open without judgment.
Yes.
Strengthens, not weakens, his ability to show up fully. Okay. And we already discussed that. Everybody needs that emotional space of safety, okay, to where we can open up fully. All right. And so number 7 is shared purpose. When a couple is aligned in vision, it gives direction to the relationship and strengthens masculine drive and leadership. Now, I can say, and I've talked to different people about this, different friends about this, how Miriam and I doing this YouTube channel together, us moving forward with this marriage ministry has really been a blessing to me, okay? Because before this, Miriam had her things, her ministry that she did. I had my things that I did. Every now and then they would touch, but most of the time they were separate. And so now, with us coming together and our visions aligning, I just feel so much strength, so much more strength, so much more unity in our relationship. Okay? And I do feel like my masculine role is being stabilized. Affirmed and stabilized in a way that it hasn't been before. Not that Miriam has been a bad wife, don't get me wrong. Not that she hasn't been supportive, don't get me wrong. But because of the enemy, there have been times when I felt like, in some ways, not in a big way, that we were kind of competing against one another. Not on purpose, but because what I was doing might have been infringing or interfering a little bit on what she was trying to do. We kind of, in every now and then, would butt heads. Okay?
Well, and if we're going to be totally transparent, one of the ways that we butted heads, or it was a competition, was when I went back to work and I was running Forever Fit because I was making money where I hadn't for 23 years. And the reason is because You know, we've told you about Joe's side of the family and the things that they used to whisper in his ear, and they would constantly tell him she needs to get off of her AZZ, she needs to do this, she needs to do that, and all the things that Joe used to listen to with them, and then would come back and attack me. So when I went to work with Ultra Fit and then to Forever Fit, I was making good money. And in a way, it vindicated me. Because for a great while, I was making much more money than Joe. And for me, it was like, well, how you like me now? You know, even though I spent 23 years being a stay-at-home mom, taking care of the kids, making sure the house stayed together, keeping everything running, you know, because of the things that they would say, there were times where Joe would come home with an attitude that even the kids knew when he had been with particular people on his side of the family. And they would just go, Daddy's been with so-and-so again, because he would come treat me differently. You know, we already went into that and how he apologized. But during that time that I was working in a gym, in the 2 gyms, like I said, I was bringing home good money. And it was vindication for me. And there was a competition at that time. There was. And I'm not going to deny it. Was I right for it? No. I was not right. I will stand before the Lord and say my attitude during that time was wrong. It was completely wrong. But it was from a place of hurt. So if there is a competition that you feel is going on with your wife, or you're going, that a husband that is wrecking his masculinity, sit down. And before you just come to her, you got to sit and you got to think about the past and everything that happened that brought her to that point. So Joe had to sit down and think about everything that brought me to that point. Now, have I apologized since? Yes. And have things gone back to a more stable place? Yes. But and not as an attack on his masculinity, I feel like I had to have that time of vindication. That, okay, no, I wasn't bringing money in, but I was doing this, I was doing that, I was taking care of the family, I was running the books for the business, I was doing all this and that, but that was not appreciated. That was not seen as doing something.
But she felt like it wasn't appreciated. But it was appreciated. Now, there were, like she said, the voices in my head weren't
in your ear.
In my head, my ear. They weren't expressing the appreciation for what I knew what was going on. I knew that that our children souls were being cultivated in a way that many other children weren't, because their mother was there, and especially during their formative years, I knew all this was going on, but what was being expressed to me on a continual basis was the opposite. Mm-hmm. So I was warring. There was a war in my mind and in my spirit over what was actually taking place, and me being, I guess, controlled in at that time, which God over the years has helped me to break that control, caused a lot of friction in our marriage, but we have grown from that, and we're pretty much on the other side of that. And now, like they say, a lot of people's ministry comes from the pain that they've gone through. Mm-hmm. Because of the pain that we've gone through, because of the pain that we inflicted on one another, not on purpose a lot of times, sometimes on purpose because of ignorance.
Yeah.
Because of pride.
Yeah.
What they say that the enemy has three bullets: the lust of the eye, lust of the eye, and the pride of life. Because of one of those three things, or maybe all three of those things, it'll cause you to turn on each other. Okay, and the enemy,
compete.
Yeah, and compete. And so, yes, we went through that, and because we're on the other side of that right now, and we're not, and we're still saying we're not perfect. We know we're not perfect.
No, yeah.
But we're in a place now because of the pain that we have gone through, because of the mistakes that we have made, because of going on 37 years of marriage, that we know that we're in a place where we can pour into
each other,
and
we don't have to compete.
Yeah, and we can pour into others. That's why the Lord, by His Spirit, has pushed us into what we're doing right now. Taking the time to sit down, taking the time to open up, to share our hearts. Some things are not pretty that we're sharing, but we know that it's gonna help other people. You know, some people will come to you and they try to put on this facade that, oh, everything is great. We don't have any problems. We living in this fairy tale land, you know. But we're not like that.
We're not like that.
We're real. We're open.
But my thing, I wasn't trying to drudge up the past. I'm just saying that is a place where there was competition. Where for that six and a half years that I worked in the gym and the money was coming in, there was that competition. Because I felt like I was having to prove myself for all the years of the things that were said. And the thing is, I knew deep inside, I mean, it wasn't even deep inside. I knew what I was doing. I knew I was competing. I knew that I was saying, see, you ain't all that in a bag of chips. I can do it too if I have to. That kind of thing. And, but I also saw how that tore him down. So I just tell that part of our lives just as the major part, because that's the only place that I can really say that I can see that there's ever been like a competition between us, because I felt like I was always having to do better. I was gonna have to do this to be seen as good in his eyes or by other people.
Okay, so when these qualities
that we've talked about, the 7, let's go over the qualities again. Respect, trust, encouragement, clear communication, appreciation, emotional safety, and shared purpose. So respect reinforces a man's sense of value and identity. When it's present, confidence and leadership tend to rise naturally. As far as trust is concerned, trust removes the need for defensiveness and control, allowing a man to lead, provide, and operate with clarity. Encouragement. Encouragement is consistent encouragement. It fuels his purpose. It reminds a man that he's seen, supported, and capable of growth. 4, clear communication. Direct, honest communication eliminates assumptions and overthinking, creating stability instead of tension. Number 5, appreciation. Acknowledging effort, not just the results, builds motivation and reinforces positive behavior in a relationship. Number 6, emotional safety. A space where a man can be open without judgment. That strengthens, not weakens, his ability to show up fully. And number 7, shared purpose. When a couple is aligned in vision, it gives direction to the relationship and strengthens the masculine drive and his leadership. I just felt like it was important to go over each one of those things again so that they didn't get lost in especially the last part of the video.
Okay, so when these qualities are present, masculinity isn't forced, okay? It's naturally cultivated within the strength of the relationship. So I hope you guys really received a lot from this episode.
Oh, tell them about next week. What's next week? What's next video gonna be?
Next week we're gonna look at the feminine, the qualities of a marriage that strengthens the feminine quality of the wife. Okay, we can't just talk about one.
That's right.
And not talk about the other.
That's right.
So please stay tuned for our next video. Okay, because you know my wife. She gonna be very expressive, probably even more expressive, because we're gonna be talking about the what's strengthening the feminine role in a marriage relationship. But as always, if you received anything from this episode, please like, share, comment. We have been really enjoying the comments that people have been giving lately. So continue to do it. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to our channel.
Tell people about our channel.
Yeah, tell people about our channel. And just keep in mind that about our us being certified marriage coaches, and that we're going to be opening ourselves up to ministering. We're going to have one-on-one and group sessions. That's going to be coming very, very soon. Okay? But until the next time,
y'all.
Have a blessed and prosperous rest of your day.
Bye-bye.